Is that the miserable meat mountain from Arby's?
Is that a thing?
Yes, it actually is. There's 3 different options, and each one has like 6 different kinds of meat on it. One of which is chicken tenders. Yes, chicken tenders.
The best food you can order in any fast food establishment is the McGangbang.
McGangbang? I want one of those.
It's a McDouble, and you split it in 2 between the 2 meat patties. So you have half of your sandwich and half of your sandwich. You take an entire McChicken, bun it all, set it on one of the meat patties, take the other one, put it on top of it. That is your sandwich. Now you take whatever sauce you'd like, ketchup, on, spread it all over something, dip the side of your sandwich into that, dip that into fries. Whatever sticks, that's there. Take a bite. The McGangbang.
Oh, it's so appropriate.
Is that like the triple down when you eat 3 double downs and die instantly? Halfway through the second one, you're just gasping for air because you can hear your ventricles slamming shut.
What's a ventricle?
I don't know. Like the thing
American
for blood, right?
Jane.
Jane says...
Are you going to eat my fingers when I give you this? She tried to eat my hand. I saw it. Say.
You're a really dumb question. Please tell me Jane's addiction.
Which song?
Jane says? Pretty sure no, but I honestly don't know. Honestly, my musical knowledge does not date back prior to 1990, and I'm pretty sure that came out before 1990.
I saw him in concert, and that's what made me
I'm gonna look up Jane Says right now. I feel like that actually was post 1990. Honestly, I can't even remember who sings that song right now.
Holy shit.
Oh, Jane's Addiction, 1987. Well, there we go.
87? Really?
1987.
That's old.
Holy shit, I didn't know they were that old.
We can play up to 10 seconds of it, right, on a podcast and not get sued. Something like that.
Our podcast will song followed by the Avengers, and maybe something that's still in theaters, and still be fine.
Someone saw Ant-Man.
Oh.
I heard it was entertaining.
Wait. Hello and welcome to another episode of L2 Wargame, the audio podcast for new and developing players. My name is Jake, and I like to party.
My name is Brandon, or PG Mutus on the forums. I like to party.
This is Max. I don't want to party.
This is Spence. I'm with Max on this. We are not going to parties. We are at a 50-50 party ratio. Jeremy, would you like to go weigh in here?
Hold on, I have to interject here. I don't think you understand how much party me and Jake bring to the table. We're at least 210% party right now.
Okay, we are actually very diminutive in the party area. Like, we're actually taking away from...
I was counting that.
Oh, you're counting. Okay, then yeah, this is exceptional.
I can show you the figures if you want.
Hey, that's a really cool spatula from Killing Girl that you guys have up on that wall right there. You guys should win the 5-person WTC style Killing Girl event.
Why do you destroy everything I hold dear with your fucking damn it?
Why do you play Luke Khan?
Have you met Sheely? Okay. He measures things on the Sheely fail of scale. Or scale of fail.
Hey,
fail of scale is actually more appropriate.
Jake, on a scale of 1 to failure,
on the Sheely
what would
scale,
you give Siege versus Lucan?
Depends on if it's me playing Siege or if it's anybody else playing Siege. Because if it's me playing Siege, it's like a 10 on the Sheely scale of fail.
Well,
if it's anyone else,
good.
it's only like a 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today, Brandon?
We're going to talk about stuff.
Oh,
and things.
Things too?
Mm.
Oh, fantastic.
So I thought we would go around and talk about lists we've been playing lately in the tournament scene and why we think we should be playing those things, and then experiences we've had. Let's go first.
I'll go first.
Max is going first.
I play Crix.
And stuff?
Always. Although, that's another topic. I want to play something else for a while anyways. But, recently I've been playing Body and Soul because it's the broken.
Are you going to play second now that you own the entire faction?
And, I've been playing Scar 1 with it, although I think she's maybe the least fun caster in Crix. Basically, I've been playing Scar 1 because I don't have access to Lich 2, which was the reason I bought Crix in the first place. So, I just haven't been playing him. But, it's gone alright. It's been a learning experience. Body and Soul's good. Scar can usually pick one matchup and win.
So you basically have the hardest hitting Crix list and the most controlling Crix list paired together.
Yeah. I would rather play Lich 2 with Body and Soul, though.
Is your Lich 2 is being painted right now?
Yes.
Can I ask why Crix? Like, why? I mean, to go further than that, because we know why Crix is cool. Why do you pick Crix? What do you get out of it? What do you
I
enjoy
picked
doing?
Crix because I opened up the book and saw a Lich 2 model, and I thought it was really cool, and I bought it.
And you still
That
don't
was the
pick it.
first model I bought.
I was there. It happened.
Like, so when you got into the game, Crix just like pulled you in, and you're like, boom.
Yes. The aesthetic is cool.
Okay.
So your next project, though, you're planning on moving to Signar for a little while? for
I
the
have
next
no idea.
project, or-
I have many other factions to choose from.
Yeah, you've been dicking around with Signar. There's right here behind me.
Putting them together,
Is
yes.
there four
Four
hunters.
hunters.
Yeah. And?
Is that ever going to do anything? Like, I mean,
Probably not.
They're
damn
gonna
it,
hunt.
Max. They're going to hunt. They're gonna,
I mean, I'll probably play Sons of the Tempest at some point with that, but I don't know.
You should never refer to them as hunters. Let's call them Jaegers.
Okay.
wow.
And then whenever they shoot something, you should just be like, yeah, this Jaeger's going to shoot that kaiju.
It's only if you're playing Legion.
Okay.
No, you have to use the sword. Everyone knows that.
God, that's
No, you save the sword until you're about ready to lose. That's when you break the sword out.
the best part of the movie is when he hit the motherfucker with the goddamn ship. He's
That's
dragging
true.
one. Like I was like, holy shit! Like that was cool. The rest of the movie was like, whatever.
Anyways, Body and Soul goes well. There's still matchups I don't play against that I need to figure out that I can just play into. I mean, one game in specific that I should not have probably lost is against Harbinger recently. I spent way too much time thinking about how the fuck I was going to use the Overlords with the book bubble over the top of them and over a bunch of her army. And I shouldn't have worried about that. I should have used them as Mat 6 anatomical precise attacks. And then as soon as the book's gone, then influence fucks Bastions. Just saying, Bastions kill Bastions.
That is true.
Didn't know when
And
that happened.
I should have just played faster, play attrition, because she has no game against it.
Right.
Against Body and Soul. And
She
I
has
spent way
delay
too much
game,
time.
not win game.
Yeah.
Who was that against?
Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
Just Vlad.
The local Denver player.
Okay.
So, have you noticed anything that particularly you try to avoid with Body and Soul? Other than the obvious, like, purification?
Honestly, not really. I mean, if no. Because, like, literally the downside is I choose not to put my 3 spells out, and then the list is still good.
I was thinking that too. Like when I hear about that,
Because there's, like, I mean, yeah, like, somebody has a Lich 2 list or something like that with Edmonia and the Wither Shadow Combine that's going to deal 3d3 damage to me. I probably don't want to take that. But then again, is Pursuit that big of a deal, or are any of the buffs that big of a deal in that matchup? Probably not. Anybody else? I don't care if you can get rid of it. It's forced you to cast Purification that turn instead of doing whatever, and that doesn't matter to me. I mean, because Denegra is such a good caster, and she gets 4 to 5 free points, and the AD helps a lot because otherwise the list is pretty slow. And then 2 survivable heavies. It's just a good list.
Yep.
It's kind of like Runes of War. I mean, I think Doomshaper can be a good caster by himself, but there's almost
The tier
no
just puts
reason
him-
to play him out of tier.
Puts them to, like, 95% drop rate.
And Denegra is probably a little bit different than Doomshaper because she's overall a better caster, probably.
Yeah.
Denegra too. But the breadth of options you get and the point reductions and everything like that with Body and Soul, not to mention if you don't have an out for getting rid of those spells, you just fucking lose the game.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like then there are some of those outs that just don't even work. Like, for instance,
mean,
like
like,
Eris 2.
Eris
right?
2 does work, though, because, I mean, you got to think about the fact that, yeah, she can't move now, but at least you're only playing 3 points down. If you don't have Eris 2 in that list, your Stormwall or your unit of freaking Murder Ponies or anything else that you really want to do a lot of work in your list now doesn't get to, or you lose the game.
Especially going
Because half the time, it depends on the scenario, but if the scenario is correct, triggering Pursuit once loses you the game.
Especially if you're going second and gets it too. If they
Yeah.
put Pursuit
And
onto
I mean,
something that you have to move.
2/3 of the time, you go second because you're a -1 to go first. Or they're +1. So I don't know, it's really powerful. I do find it kind of stale, but there's a lot you can do with it. I don't know. It's fine for now.
I wonder how much longer we're actually... I wonder if we're going to continue to see Body and Soul just completely prevalent, or if we're actually going to see Crix players just start to get bored with it. Because it really does not seem like that interesting of a list to play.
Playing it in a tournament, that's important, and playing it in local games is different. So, like, they might be on to other things, like playing Gorshade 3 and Scar 2 or whatever, but when it comes to tournament day, they're going to have, like, their 3 days of practice, and they're going to bring their A-list.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I mean...
Just like runes, like how many times have troll players played runes, and they still play it?
Right. Well, that's because runes is a fun list to play.
Well, yeah, but eventually you get to the point where you're like, it's runes, I've played this matchup 19 times.
That's fair.
But when you get into what Denegra and the 2 heavies can do, that's what actually makes that list fun. Because you don't play 2 heavies in very many lists. Right. I mean, it's 22 points of Warjacks, you don't usually do that.
Especially within a list that has tools like Denny 2. There's all kinds of stuff you
generally
can do.
Play an Arc Node, which you're 26-point Warjacks then. I do want to mess around with putting a Scarlock in. I think he might be useful in some situations because Curse of Shadows and things like that, when you don't have to cast it with Deathjack or her, is a situationally amazing spell. Same thing with defense debuffs like Mark for Death. And she still has Ghostwalk, which she never freaking wants to cast because it costs 3.
It feels like every once in a while a new list comes out and suddenly starts hitting top, and that's the thing we're talking about now. Right now it's Body and Soul. Last month it was Miserable Mountain.
Last month it was Bradigus.
There's how do you beat this?
But,
how do you beat this?
And that's the way the meta evolves. You find different lists come to the top, and then people have to figure out a way to do it. See, now the problem is that people aren't feeling like they have to game for Crix and Body and Soul. It's going that way, but the problem is everybody still thinks they have to have a drop for Bradigus or the Super Armor SKU, which is also Meat Mountain, or Fist isn't Super Armor, but it does bring high armor and it brings box spam. So the meta is shifting that way, which is increasing prevalence of Crix. Not to mention Body and Soul is also really good, so that also increases prevalence.
Scar 1 / Lich is seeing a lot of play, and everyone is playing Body and Soul that has the models.
Yeah. Anyways, that's me so far, and I want to play something else for a little bit probably, whether it's Retribution or Signar. I kind of feel like Retribution is what I wanted to play at first, but then I feel like Signar is just a slightly better version of Retribution.
They have less of some of the super special things.
Yeah, they don't have quite as many just specifically specialist things, and their solos probably, at least in faction, aren't probably as good. But the options Signar have...
Mercenaries are huge.
Yeah.
Convergence makes that very obvious to me. Alright, so who's next?
I'll go. So I haven't been playing all that much over the past few months. Actually, after the qualifier event in Tulsa, I didn't really play actually a game of Warmachine for like a month after that. Part of that was getting ready for my wedding and then going on my honeymoon stuff. But
how's he doing?
Oh, my wife?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but
I'm just going to say I thought you were insinuating they were having a kid, and I was out of the loop.
Oh, not yet.
I did not realize you were making fun of him being gay.
I would never do that.
Being gay is legal now.
Yeah, it is.
So
depends on how you do it.
Oh yeah. All right, we've been playing a lot of Trollbloods in tournaments. Pretty much if it's a 50-point tournament, I'll play Trollbloods into it. Specifically, Runes EE.
I've never seen you have trolls at the table.
Well, that's because around here, we don't really do that many like competitive 50-point events. So that's why I show up. Or I just don't come to those events. One of the two, yeah. So if it's like a 35-point steamroller, then I'll do stuff like bring P de Negra and Terminus, and just have ridiculous amounts of fun with it, because P de Negra at 35 points is silly.
I experienced it.
Yeah.
At your head. Screw you.
But if it's, and I'm still messing around a lot with Minoth. I still own the entire faction of Minoth. I've been meaning to pick up Durst because I have a lot of ideas with Durst. My current idea is triple Reckoner, Errants, and support.
Why?
Defense 14, armor 19 against hordes. Yeah.
And 24 on the specific turn.
Yeah. That is one. I feel like I could really give a big middle finger to, like, particularly Circle. But anyways, Signar is always fun. I used to play Signar like hardcore. It used to be like all that I played back, 2 years ago. But I traded him off and actually got like all of Minoth. But now I'm kind of slowly building my way back into Signar. I'm really excited for Hurricane coming out. So I'm starting to get into a point where, I can get some stuff for how I want to play Signar post Hurricane. So that's about where I'm at, Warmachine wise. I've been, with the release of River Raiders, I'm really wanting to give Calandra a try outside of EE. The idea of running, double River Raiders and double Highwaymen.
Croak Raiders.
Or Croak Raiders.
I was wondering if it was the goblins.
Not Swamp Gobbers. Double Croak Raiders, double Highwaymen.
Can you take the Swamp Gobbers?
I don't think trolls can.
If you could, they wouldn't be awful jam just because they're Def 14 base. That becomes pretty hard to deal with. I mean, they're not good, but...
Actually, Mission
at least I'm pretty sure they can, because I used to play them with Doomshaper, because I had one point floater.
I think he's talking about River Raiders.
Swamp Gobbers.
Oh. Right. No, I was talking about River Raiders, because that's what he said.
I thought you said Swamp
And I thought he was literally talking about River Raiders.
No, I want to run...
Double Croak Raiders.
Double Croak Raiders. And... maybe, I don't know, either. So double Croak Raiders, and then at least one unit, maybe like one unit of Highwaymen Nis, or double Highwaymen with Wonderheart, and then just scattering
spam,
of.
You still have Calandra almost always runs dude spam out of tier.
Right, and it seems like it'd be really fun, and also just like
played out of tier.
I feel like it'd also be really cool to run, because your deployment zone actually wouldn't be that crowded, even despite having 40 infantry models, because you get half of it ADing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it'd be a really good Crix answer. I don't know. I just I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm also really excited to see what Doomshaper 3 does. I enjoy EE runes, but I'm starting to get to a point where
you want to start having imagination.
I love runes. I will never drop runes out of my tournament pairings, just because runes is the only way I'll ever drop runes out of my tournament pairing is if Doomshaper 3 is so incredibly awesome and fun that and mold becomes necessary to go in there. Then I would probably move into running that, but I'm really hoping that Doomshaper 3 works really well without Mold.
I find that unlikely, but possible.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm also excited to see what the Glacier King does. If the Glacier King turns out to be a really dynamic, good anchor piece for trolls, then I could see myself moving into maybe Borka 2 with Glacier King. Yeah, offhand, the double cold.
You can snow shred it, so it's being cold.
Right, that's the thing. Is he gives immunity to cold, but it's already immune to cold, and then it can give concealment, whereas your feet already give stealth. There's some, I don't know, win more there, but I feel like Borka 2 really likes a huge.
See what the rules look like. I actually expect them to be probably spoiled.
Because Gen Con's here in about a week and a half, and next week. So hopefully we'll get all the spoilers next week. But yeah, I got high hopes for what the next book's gonna bring for trolls, help shake things up, or. As we're moving into the future, play a lot more Protectorate with Durst, paired with Krios 1, or move into Signar, Haley 2, plus probably, I'll probably actually run, Peace Striker with the Hurricane. I really like some of the stuff that Peace Striker offers the Hurricane.
You just like Peace Striker.
I love Peace Striker, but then having an arc node
for free, basically, or as an afterthought, at least.
And snipe on him seems... Like it'd be really
good. The things he does, it's basically made for him.
Right.
I can't imagine a caster that likes it in Strike.
So
maybe Haley 1.
We'll see. Oh, and also Revelator for Minoth. I feel like Revelator's going to shake up for Krios 1. I think I'm going to start adopting the list that you've been running: the double Reckoner on Krios and double Redeemer on Tristan with Zealots plus support. But when the Revelator comes out, I'm going to experiment a lot with Revelator, either Revelator, Reckoner, Redeemer, or Revelator, double Redeemer. Wait a
second. Let me.
You still kind of.
Can we queue? I know we can't, but can we queue up when we did the Krios list build, and when Jake said, I used to like 2 Reckoners in my Krios 1 list, and then I turned 12.
Yeah, honestly,
Which, by the way, ruined my progression with Krios 1 for 6 months.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I was like, God, this list would be so much better with a second Reckoner, but I would have to admit that Jake was wrong. And
I was a worse player back then. No. I'm a better player now than I was back then. I'm a more mature player.
He watched what Vengers do to heavy Warjacks and Signar, and then he saw the light.
Off the charge. Because apparently 3 Vengers kill Centurions.
Ride by attack's way better than charging, bro.
It's true.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, what have you been up to lately?
I've been playing mostly Convergence lately, trying to get good with them. Been mostly failing. So since Lucant went on ADR, faction got probably a 30% boost in strength. Honestly, the biggest problem I have with Convergence is that there is one caster in the entire faction you can play out of tier, and that's Lucant. And that gets kind of boring. Because Mother's in tier, because Carrier Group is really strong, and mainly just plays to her strengths, just like Denny. Axis is obviously tier so often more than not because 4 Enigma Founders are just stupid and unbeatable in some matchups. Aurora is just completely unimaginative and stupid, so that you basically play that if you want to be boring.
But you play her out of tier.
Her tier lets you take a bunch of angles, and the only reason
You
you're
can
playing
play
her is
her
because you
out of
like
tier.
angels. You could play any of them out of tier. Just I don't know why you would.
I think there's
Because
actually
transference is legit.
the Aurora theme force always just seems so hilarious to me though. Is if you take like the right combination of like angels, steel soul protectors, and conservators,
does
you
anyone
can have
remember-
this like triple layer of shield guards on like past the midline on turn 1.
Does anyone remember when Convergence first came out and everyone was like, Aurora, 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 and they were all like buying angels left and right? Like, oh,
Because
this
it
is
was
so
the
good.
only thing that came out first.
Literally the only legal models you could play was like an Aurora theme force. It was so dumb.
Well, because she has, what, a 30-inch?
21 personal.
It's
21-inch personal threat, which is not even Butcher 3's threat, and nowhere near as strong when she gets there.
Yeah, because she's Mat 8, like Power 12
she's
Weapon Master.
Base Mat 6, and then POW 12, and she has Flank Angel. So if she also gets an Angel that's not like immune to free strikes or anything there, then sure, she gets Flank with you. And the Angel doesn't even have reach. So they can't even, like, you just put guys around you and they can't do anything. Like, even if they get to you, there's a lot of casters on camp, she doesn't even come close to killing. And if you're on no camp and within 21 and don't screen yourself, sure, you probably die.
Maybe if she was an Arcane Assassin, she'd be
Right.
good.
Problem is, even when she gets there, she's only a Mat 8 POW 12 Weapon Master at best. She's a Mat 8 POW 12 Weapon Master with, generally speaking, at best 6 focus.
So boosting damage, she does 2 to Butcher. Boosting her Weapon Master attacks.
So she's not probably the best thing that you want to play against some of the things that are floating around out
Her
there.
Field Marshal's great, but she doesn't do anything for her Jags.
It's okay.
Because True Path doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
for
like, True
anything.
Path doesn't
If
do
it
anything
was like
transfer-
Crusader's Call, it might be
All
better.
of her buffs are infantry based, so it's like your Jacks don't get anything. And I play Convergence Jacks. If you're giving them nothing, they're mad.
I mean,
They're not Meanot Jacks, but
Admonition-
induction is not battle. It's not the same thing.
Admonition is a great spell, but when you're coming from Watcher, it's like, well, Admonition can go second.
Right. So I've been playing Mother Lucant, mostly, obviously, out of ADR until recently. My Lucant list is Corollary, 3 inverters for the battle group, 2 groups of mechanics, which are the Optifex Directive, 2 Enigma Foundries, 1 full group of Reciprocators, and 1 full group of Eradicators. And then with ADR now, I put 2 battle engines in the sideboard and a group of attunement servitors.
Which,
are the
if
flare
nobody
bots.
has seen this happen, like everybody at some point,
I love how everyone looks at it and they're like, I don't understand why you're not taking
Yeah,
a Prime
it's-
Axiom. And then they see 3 inverters with Watcher, and if you don't have Purification, you are completely fucked.
it's not that. If you have not seen the battle engine from fucking,
Oh, God. that
it's
thing
just
is so
it's
dumb.
just stupid. I mean, and it's not just because I just had my ass handed to me by it because I have not yet really played against it at all. In a
I don't
way
think
that
I've ever
matters.
pulled anything to
Yeah, I've sat and watched this thing
You
just
just watch
mulch
what it does, and you're like, what the
everything,
hell?
and not like, oh, it kills all kinds of chodes. No, it's like, oh, you're all armor 19. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and blast all that out of the water
It
like
was
it's nothing.
Or I get an attunement servitor to a good spot, I flare your caster, aim and go to effective rat 8, and just go 5 dice damage, 2 shots into your caster with a spray,
Yeah,
and all of
it's-
a sudden they take 20 damage, and you're like, holy shit.
It's incredibly awesome, and the thing is, the model looks great. It's like
Well, here's an interesting rules interaction, because a guy dropped minions into me, Barnabas Pop and Drop into Lucant, which clearly just made a mistake on this selection. But the Croak Raiders into the battle engine, because it has sack pawn, they can't hit it with oil until the servitors are dead.
They have
So-
to waste 3 spear attacks.
But they need 8s to
Before
hit
they can
because
oil.
of D-cell.
Or if there's
Eights?
a servitor behind it.
Because
then
their defense
probably not gonna
14
do it.
under D-cell.
okay. Maybe y'all can beat this
Servitors
into my
are?
head
They're
real
base
quick.
12, D-cell 14.
But are you saying you just take the hits if they throw
Right, if they
it at
throw
them?
firebombs, I'm armor 21, they're dice off 9, I just take the damage roll.
I'm
So
gonna-
to get oil, they have to shoot the 3 servitors first, which are usually behind it.
I'm
on a
going
5-inch
to
base.
piggyback on 2 things. Something you said and something Max said, okay? I'm going to play the ignorance card here because I guarantee other people out there, like maybe you're smarter than me if you're listening to this because I hear things and sometimes maybe I don't think it the way through all the time, but okay, we'll go with this one. These Croak Raiders people are talking about. Okay, I see the card, I can read, I can understand the theory of why
You see
they
the
did-
rules, you don't see the effectiveness on the table.
Well, I've played against them one time now.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say it gives me any type of weird, insight into them, but like looking at them as they are and just imagining what they're actually bringing to the table in comparison to other things that have already existed for a long time, everybody talks about them with reverence, like they're going to affect so much.
They're very good.
I understand very good, but what am I missing that there's so paramount that they get talked about in every
They're
list?
a ranged unit that does lots of damage without help from anything else. They boost
So they're
their own damage rolls.
They're fairly self-sufficient
ranged AD.
Okay,
And they
let's-
buff other
hold on.
things.
Let's look at the other options for guns that roll 3 dice damage on a unit of 10 guys. Basically,
Let's be realistic. It's a unit of
cutthroats.
5 guys.
The Croak Raiders?
Well, they have to put oil out there.
One guy has to oil
One
the
guy has to
heavy,
put oil.
and
So the
then
thing
9
is-
guys
Okay.
throw 3 dice
So
damage.
depending on-
And hold on,
against-
there's still an 8-point unit. The closest comparison I can see is Crow's Cutthroats, which have stealth but lose armor. They're also 10 points instead of 8, and our character unit.
I think the rat's lower.
They're also
Their
only
rat's
rat
lower
5,
and their speed's
only,
lower.
They're only power 10 instead of power 12.
Right.
6.
Oh, they are speed 6, sorry. But I mean, you're talking about 2 lower base POW and poison, which is not reliable in the least against higher armor. So it's like, that's your closest comparison.
You also have versatility in them. So if
Right.
you're going up against a whole bunch of dudes, like say you're going up against like Scar 1 and there's 30 Bane Knights, right? Well, Rat 6, POW 12 means you need 6s to hit a Bane Knight, and you only need to roll a 4 or 5 to kill a Bane Knight. So that's really good. I don't mean
And that's without oil.
right. That's without oil. So without doing the math in my head, that's probably something
don't
like a
think you'd oil
75%
single
chance
models.
to kill a Bane Knight per shot.
6s to hit, you're probably looking at about 50.
Sixes and
After
five.
the damage roll.
So
Okay.
6 is a 75 plus damage roll. You need a 5 is an 80%. It's probably a little higher than that, but
Yeah,
it's
it's generally
it's around
24.
there.
Right, and that's completely unsupported. So against a unit that is 2 points more than them, they are capable of trading. Generally speaking, they can kill six guys with their 10
Right.
against a
Before
unit without
they
any
initiate.
support from range. And the thing is in this game, generally, ranged units tend to intentionally be less efficient at killing on a per model basis because of the fact that the ranged attacks give you an inherent advantage.
Or they're
Both in-
supremely expensive.
Right, yeah, the cost is also a big thing. Well, these guys are 2 points less than Bane Knights, and they could kill 6 out of 10 of the unit from 14 inches away starting. So that's really, really good, and that's without any support whatsoever.
That's
You
with
add in-
like one caster, right?
What's that?
There's only one snipe caster that can take him.
I mean, so if you kind of
But
look at
range 10,
some
it
of the
doesn't
support-
matter.
Right, so- and
They clear themselves off as well, too. That's the thing, is they have gang. So they're only mat 5, but they have gang. So now they're mat 7, and they're power 10. So lots of
Well-
times they're just...
all right, so I'm going to finish what I was talking about. So that's one example of what they can do, right? But then you also look at the rest of the card. They also cause fire. So suddenly, if you start going against things that are like shield wall, that like they
howlers.
can't break their armor, then you put on fire. Boom howlers. They make their tough check. Well, they're on fire, so they have a
You do that with the
really
book.
good
They
chance
just
of
do it
making
for
another
free.
one the next round.
Mainly, it's just they basically just took a bag of special abilities and dumped them onto one card and didn't raise the point cost. That's basically what they've done.
Right. And then if you're going up against really heavy armor, like a heavy, you can throw oil on it with one guy, and then 9 guys can come in with boosted POW 12. So let's say it's something that's armor 18. They're going to do on average 4.5 damage per guy times 9. That's going to kill any heavy in the game if it's any armor 18 heavy in the game
For 8 points.
for 8 points. They are, and so that's against
Not to
heavy
mention,
armor.
if it lives and fire doesn't go out, it takes a boosted POW 12 from fire damage because it's still fire.
And then you add in the fact that they're immune to corrosion, so they're immune to Biothrall purchase, which is one of the worst ways that you can lose infantry, or one of the quickest ways to lose large amounts of infantry in the game. They're also advanced deploy, which is a really, really good ability on its own, because it's really good in both scenario play and also just for the fact that you are a ranged unit with AD, so you're always going to be shooting on turn 2.
So are these guys going to weasel their way into so many lists that they're going to be...
Anyone that can buff them in any way, that's the thing, is they're already so good that any buff puts them straight over the top, that anyone that can buff them, you will see playing them. Like, people are talking about playing Bethane because she has a buff for Croak Raiders. That's the only reason they're talking about playing her now.
They also
And
have
before,
just-
you only ever heard about her in tier.
They also have a couple crazy other interactions. Little things, like if you take the Witch Dot Croc with them, make them undead and tough, with their Vitriol ability that says if you make a melee attack against them that doesn't kill them, then the attacker becomes corroded. So you charge something into them, hit it. If it makes a tough check, it didn't die from the attack, so now the model that attacked is now corroded.
So in addition to walking up, setting a bunch of his shield wall guys on fire, they charge you, you make 3 tough checks, 3 of his guys are now corroded, and are most likely going to die next turn. So you just keep trading up for free, because your unit is probably better than it should be.
And
And
then-
that's why people like it.
Last point, they're also a ranged unit that, what Brandon kind of mentioned earlier, they clear themselves with the jam really efficiently as well. Because base, they're only mat 5, or Max said that, they're only mat 5, POW 8, but they've got ganks, so they're mat 7, POW 10, which can clear off a lot of jams.
Which kills a lot of basic troops.
And then plus, even if you need to do that with clearing off guys so that other ones can make ranged attacks also, They're just an extremely versatile, extremely powerful unit that has some really sweet defensive tech built into it. And with AD, they're also really good in positioning and scenario.
If Kador
And
could
they're
take that unit, Kador would be back on the game.
On top,
Don't
top
get me
of
wrong.
everything else,
It's not
they're
going
cheap.
to break anything.
No,
they're just good.
Yeah, they're just good.
Right. And the thing that has people freaking out is if you look at kind of equivalent units, which are 10-man ranged firepower units that have kind of other versatile roles, you're looking at things like Pig Bushwhackers and Venator Reavers
Crows.
and Crow's Cutthroats, Reeve Hunters.
Whatever the heck that expensive unit is in red. I can't think of the name. The gun ones.
Riflemen?
No.
House Guard Riflemen?
No,
In-
Byron
Invictors.
ones. Invictors.
Right.
They run they're very similar. I mean, they're MAT 7, RAT 6. They have range
Yeah.
10, POW 12 guns, but that unit costs 10 points.
Right, that's the thing that I was about to say, is that the thing that all of those units I just mentioned, almost all of them have in common, is that almost all of them are 10.
It's just like the Highwaymen. They're just undercosted. Like, you'd expect a unit with those abilities cost at least 10 points. At least.
So
or
they're-
be like a 10-point unit with a 2-point UA that makes them that good.
And I think part of it also is the fact that people have looked at some of these other units, like Crow's Cutthroats, or people have looked at Venator Reavers.
That's a good point. Is just how many of those units we just listed see play.
Right.
And maybe
Yeah.
that's the reason these guys
Because
just came
people
out.
have thought about people like, yeah, I want to be able to use these really cool ranged units in my faction, but they're just overcosted for what I get. Well, now they have a unit that fills a similar, if not equivalent, role that is cheaper and more effective. So all of a sudden, it opens up a lot more list making options that people have already thought about with units in their factions, but they came to the conclusion weren't working. So that's kind of my opinion on Croak Raiders.
That's pretty good.
Does that make a little more sense?
It does. I just, it's counter thought in my head. Like, I really don't want to believe. I want to believe that maybe it's just because these are the new hot thing that we're going to see so much talk about them and why they're so good, and then they're not going to be in all these lists that everybody wants to put them in, and they're not going to just.
They're not going to be in as many lists as you
The main
think
thing
they
is
are.
that they are a minion. Like, Highwaymen obviously only work in one faction, and a lot of lists that troll players build have nothing to do with the shooting.
It's kind of the the minions, the hordes version of Nis Hunters.
That's horrifying to consider.
No, I would put them on the level of this.
I completely agree. I
Mainly
just hate
because
the
they're
fact
not
that there's
characters.
mishunters.
But yeah.
Yeah, they're 2 points cheap.
All right, then the other half of that goes back to what Max was saying, body and soul. I've seen so many people talk about if you can't clear pursuit, it's game over. It's just game over. And now they say
on what
Well, here, no, I'm going to clarify my question here so we can answer this, okay? Because this goes back to I'm asking this not just for me, but for literally any person listening out there who is of my level, and when they hear that, they just blank out, because I do. I'm like, I don't want to believe that any single feature in the game shuts the game down. I don't want to believe that. Now, it may be incredibly powerful, maybe incredibly strong, but I feel like there's a huge player base out there that they say something like that, and it creates this big wave.
It's
I wanna bring
never
up a point.
it's never that cut and
Right.
dry.
The reason I think people say that is because think of any list you play. What's the most valuable non-warcaster thing in there, points-wise?
I mean, a warjack.
Do you have
I mean,
adjudicator?
unit,
Let's say a
a
12
specific thing.
average list, probably a 12-point unit with a UA, maybe 10 points if we're going low. But then also the option that you have a character jack that's 12 points or a colossal that's 18 to 20 points. Now take that thing and say it cannot move the entire game. It's effectively worthless in most situations.
Yeah, well,
At least its value goes down 80%.
Let's clarify that then. When you say it can't move the entire game, if it moves, then she gets to move, right?
Not
Anything in her
or-
battle group gets to move, which means she can either send Nightmare after your caster, or she can just move up into a feeding position. And it's every time it moves. The problem is there's so many scenarios out right now that if you can't move more than 14 inches on turn 1, you can't contest. So she just walks forward for free, and then charges and feats and locks your army out of scenario, and you lose on next turn.
That's the
Specifically
problem.
because
And
she
the
can
problem
lock
is
you
she
in
can-
kill box,
she
and you
can-
automatically
right.
kill box yourself for 2, and then she dominates for 2.
I mean, I did that at Rocky Mountain Rumble.
Right. So think about basically to guarantee you won't lose on scenario. Even if she manages to clear the zone on luck, you still lose. So you have to basically say, I'm going to take the safe road and not move the model until I get contesting scenario.
So we honestly
So you're
believe-
down 12 points. The tier list she has lets her go up 5 points. If she's playing 17 points over you, you have a serious fucking problem.
It's not that you're down the 12 points. It's that it can't effectively play in the game early. Because eventually she'll let that drop. Because
Right.
she'll want the focus for something else. But early in the game, if you give her the 7-inch move, lots of times it puts her in position on certain scenarios. Not everyone, but
In
lots of them.
practically auto win chain.
Yeah, it puts her in a position where she can basically auto-win with a free 7-inch move.
So when people are hearing body and soul auto win, no no
No
dispel.
errors, I auto win.
It's like that's what I keep hearing. Now people need to hear that and take it from the point of, okay, realize what scenario you're going into, what model she has to put it on, because then also you have to consider the fact is, and we talked about this a while back, and something that I think we should reiterate also. Players need to hear the overtalk of all the podcasts, of what all the forums say and what they read, and
They're
realize
just stating their opinion in a summary and not explaining.
And on top of that, even if you are listening to Jay or anybody else talk about something other like that, which I mean, not to say anything negative about Jay, but he's an incredible player, and people listen to his podcast. So what I'm saying is they hear all these people say, so they immediately think to themselves, oh, well, that's just a fact of situation. I can't deal with anything. You could be playing, Chode Dick Monkey number 6 who has no fucking clue what to pick. So instead of picking your good 12-point unit, he picked the champs. And now your champs are like, okay, well, I'll just leave the champs here and I'm still moving up my wars. It doesn't matter. It's like...
You're absolutely right on that point.
So, I mean, yes, you don't want to assume you're going to play somebody who doesn't know what they're doing.
You still have to be a good enough player to win the game after you gain your advantage.
So,
but assuming two player of equal skill, and we just talked about basically you can play 17 points up if you pursue the right target.
I understand.
If you're playing against a 68-point army, like, EE, then basically you're at a huge disadvantage.
So what were we about to just say, Spencer? You had another point.
Well, I'm saying is, you shouldn't, okay, because what washes over me whenever I hear that sort of thing is, I get blinders on. When I fucking got into this and it was Lich 2 and Haley 2 and there were these big things, every time somebody put them on the table, I immediately thought to myself, it's like, well, have no chance of winning this one just because I heard all the overtalk of people saying these are the biggest things in the world. And if you can't deal with that, you're going to lose automatically. So you defeat yourself right off the bat. And this is not like a hippie talk of just try hard and you can succeed. Seriously, just do shit. Play the game. Move forward. Just do that. And when people say that, so I know now, they're going to put pursuit on something. I can figure out what the fuck I'm going to do with that. That's going to be my battle plan there. I mean, it's...
And then, to actually count out the math in inches. Like, how far is his deployment zone from the objectives? How far am I? Where do I need to be to make sure I won't lose on scenario? And actually make a logical decision if you can afford to move that piece. Don't just go, I can't move it now, so guess that's dead.
I'll give you an example of the very first time I played against Body and Soul, when I was using Elemental Evolutionism. So he put Pursuit on my Krillstone. I was lucky enough to win the roll to go first. If I hadn't won the roll to go first, I would have been probably up the A. Because with it on my Krillstone, right off the bat, I have to make a choice. Okay, I've got Fury in my Krillstone. Do I want to move my Krillstone up on turn 1 and actually have it in a position to be able to affect my entire army? This is 5 points I've invested. And it's critical support for my army. Like, absolutely critical. If I can't cover my stuff with a Krillstone Aura, then any Mechanothralls or Drudges that get onto my lights are going to kill him. So I have to have my Krillstone up. But I have to understand that by moving my Krillstone up, I am going to be allowing him to I'm going to allow him to remove Nightmare or Denegrit or Deathjack, and Deathjack's already 16 inches at the table, allow them to move a full advance up the table. So if I let him move Denegrit up the table, it's a very real possibility that top of turn 1 he could charge forward and feed on me and lock me out of scenario.
Bottom of 1.
Bottom of 1. Lock me out of scenario on my turn 2, so that on his bottom of turn 2, he can just go in there and score 3 control points almost completely uncontested. So what I had to do in response, and I will say it was a fortunate situation for me, because I was playing an army that had a lot of advanced deploy, so I was able to get up into scenario position before, so that I was able to get on into scenario position on the top of 1, so that even if the feat comes on the bottom of 1, I'm already in a contesting position. I also had to take into consideration, I had to move up my Krillstone as far forward as I possibly could, to the point where not only did I run it up its 10 inches, I also had 2 War Beasts push my Krillstone up to get it 12 inches off of my starting line, because I knew I'm not going to want to give him that movement any more turns for the rest of the game. Because if I give him a 6-inch advance on Nightmare on turn 3, or maybe even 2, then that could very well put my caster within charge range of Nightmare, which is just game over.
It's a game-ending decision. Either he kills you or he fails.
Right. So what I had to do is, if I wasn't thinking about the situation, and with a little bit of luck both in going first and my specific army build, then I would have been up shit creek without a paddle. So we're not saying that you just automatically lose. We're saying that if you've not mentally prepared yourself, both thought about it ahead of time, and then also when you see it on the table, really give it some thought about what do I need to do in order to counter this. And even if I can't counter it at all, what can I do to actually work around it? Because there's always a workaround. 99% of the time there's a workaround, but you just have to really, really consider it. And if you just kind of go into it blindly, just, la-di-da-da, I'll just run my stuff up, and I'll find out about what it does after it's already happened to me, then that's a surefire way to lose a game.
Yeah. Max, as an experienced Body and Soul player, how many times have you played against someone who hadn't played against Body and Soul before and lost?
He's
Probably
counting.
once.
Probably once.
Because it was probably the first time I played Body and Soul.
So it's one of those lists that clearly
I'm pretty
you
sure
just...
that was pretty close to when I played Jake.
Actually, that's right. I can't remember that game.
That was that game, yeah.
So clearly this is a list you just straight up need experience against, like just getting the experience of seeing it happen.
That's the way, like, all these tier lists are
I
right
love the
now.
gotcha stuff. Like, it's a scenario gotcha. Like, that's just any two, though. I mean, her feat has to be... She clearly has a deeper toolkit than just a gotcha. But if you don't know the gotcha, it's just so easy to get screwed out of the game and have a bad experience because of it. You need to go into the game just assuming you're going to lose the first game and play against it so you get to see it. Because once you see it, you can combat it.
It can really help is if you think about the matchup a whole lot, really kind of construct the list from the Critics player's point of view in that kind of situation, and then also watch games and see what's going on.
Where would you recommend they go to watch these games, Jake?
You can go onto L2 Wargame and see some of our YouTube videos that feature Max playing Body and Soul, or other players playing Body and Soul as well, but probably not as well.
That didn't sound like it was advertising at all.
Tom Glenn is probably better.
But yeah, and really, just think about what some of these top lists are, and that's one of the things as we go through on episodes and we talk about list construction. The reason that Brandon constructs his list of specific matchups that you have to think about during list construction, where he'll talk about, all right, so Crix, what does this list do against Body and Soul? What does this list do against Lich 2? What does this list do against Scar 1? You have to go in and think about those matchups and just really put yourself into the shoes of that list.
Because, I mean, if you're in a situation where your local meta doesn't have access to a Body and Soul player, then mentally going through watching a game and imagining if your army was on the other side of it, what you would do, at least thinking about it prior to gives you so much of an advantage over someone who has no clue what to expect. And that basically will accelerate your learning process if you think about it in between games. Because I know a lot of our local players that put zero thought into the game. Like, they think about Warmachine, but they think about Warmachine as like, man, I need to paint my game. They don't think about it from a tactical point of view when they're not playing. And that holds them back more than any amount of learning.
You can just say my name. I'm sitting right here.
So we've already talked about you.
We know you don't think about painting your minis.
I don't ever paint
That's
it.
true.
Exactly.
So James Brennan from Denver gave me a list of 3 rules. And oddly, immediately after he gave me these 3 rules, I won the tournament. There was no game afterwards. I just coincidentally won. But he said there's 3 steps to winning every single game you ever play of Warmachine. Number 1 is don't lose. Don't die. Don't let your caster die, which loses you the game. Rule number 2 is don't lose. So look at the board and don't lose. He gives a little bit better definitions of these than I do. And then rule number 3 is win the game, which is...
So don't lose, look at the board and don't lose.
Don't die.
Don't die, don't lose, win.
Okay.
So basically, keep
So-
your caster in a spot where it won't die.
He's like, come up with your plan for your caster and think about if what you're going to do with your caster is actually necessary.
Any idea how long it took me to actually figure that stupidity out?
Yeah, I know.
No,
I'm
like-
going to move here, and I'm going to spend 4 focus on the Hex Blast to you because you're a son of a bitch. And
Well,
like,
it's
well, maybe I
there
should
have
do
been
that right in front of
so
Death
many
Jack.
times where like I've moved a model and I died the next turn, and I've looked at the model. I'm like,
Why the fuck did I do that?
there was literally no reason to move up an inch forward. There was no reason to.
Right, so it's when you think about it, you come with your plan, then you go, this is
I blame
literally, like, there's no measure to how much more important this single model is to any other model in my list. There's no measure to the gap in that value. I should probably put a second moment's thought into where I'm going to put this son of a bitch. So you look at it and you're like, all right, can I accomplish that without being as risked as I am? And then should I just not do it because it's too much of a risk? So that's step 1. Step 2, don't lose. Look at every possibility to lose, scenario, time, whatever.
Not to win, but to
Not
lose.
to win. How you could possibly lose. Because you know what? Your opponent might fucking lose because they're not doing step 2. And
Are you kidding me?
I'm going to be honest. That actually happens a lot. Like
I cannot tell you how many games I'll qualify this. This goes back to what Jake said earlier about what they said at the Geek, okay? This is very solid. This is exactly every game I win is not me winning. it's my opponent losing.
Yeah.
Literally every game I win.
It feels that way though, doesn't
No,
it?
it does. You say
Because
that,
when
and
you
it
don't
hits
mess
so
up-
rock hard.
When you don't mess up, that's exactly what happens. Your
Yeah.
opponent loses. You're like, I didn't do anything to win this game. You lost it.
Holy
If
shit.
you don't put yourself in a position to lose, your opponent oftentimes will lose.
That's what Chuck does. Chuck can
That's
do it, too.
exactly
He just
what
one
I
thing.
do.
He's like-
I flat out fail in games. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what I'm...
And that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know what...
Like, you get inside your own head so much that you're not thinking about the repercussions of your actions. You move your caster up, and like, well, I'm going to use Fury Spray to shoot at Harbinger. And you're like, wait a second. Like, let's just back up 3 steps. What the fuck are you doing? So, anyway. So, basically, step 1 is don't get assassinated. Anything you can do to not get assassinated is extremely important. Step 2, don't run out of time. Don't lose on scenario. Don't lose on attrition. Don't move up 6 of your Winter Guard Death Star when 2 can do the job. Move up the 2, kill what you can, move on. Do what you can do, and don't lose. Don't give away more than you have to.
Don't clump up your guys when you can space them out.
Yeah, don't leave 12 models in 2 inches of your Warcaster when your opponent has Death Knell. Don't do stuff like that. Like, move on past that. Don't lose on scenario because you forgot to check the zone for contesting models. Like, do these things. Take the tedious steps. Double check. You've activated all your models before you hit your clock. Do stuff like that. Step 3, everyone builds a list to do something. There's a plan you had when you made your list that will win you the game. Like, if you're playing Kane 2, maybe you'll kill their caster. If you're playing Krios 1, probably the same thing. If you're playing Lucan, you're going to kill all of their models. Like, that's your plan. Do your plan. Commit to your plan. Make your plan work better than your opponent's plan as well. And you'll win your game. So
Who said that?
James Brennan.
Who is this guy?
He's a PG.
Doesn't he do the Thrall Life podcast?
Yeah, he's on the Throw Life podcast.
So, when he comes down from
With
whatever
Ryan
mountain that he wears robes in and
my
prophesizes and
favorite
shit.
is he's like, I love being on my podcast because I'm the total idiot on my podcast. Because he is on a podcast with Ryan Cherboga and Tom Guan and fucking who else?
Tom Guan's on a fucking podcast?
Yeah, I know.
Where is he ever in one place long enough to fucking be on a podcast?
He has a cell phone.
On planes in between.
Yeah, none of
I
them are in the
swear
same
to God.
place. They all live in different states.
You know, he lives the life of a space marine, right? Like,
it
he's just
Charles?
on a
Is
ship
Charles
going to
on
the
there
next
too? I
battle.
can't remember who-
That's all he ever
I think
does.
that the
Nice.
other guest rotates.
Who's the other person on Throw Life? Okay, fine.
I think they have a
I
rotating
don't
cast.
actually pay
Or a
attention.
rotating-
Some
a
guy that
rotating
plays
test.
Tyrannus.
By the way, James, if you're listening to this, because I know you're not because you're an ass, you still owe me a Throw Life podcast t-shirt. Fuck you.
I want one.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's why I said that.
James, we're doing this. T-shirts now.
T-shirts.
Now.
You've never met me. Give me a t-shirt.
I want one.
So,
That's actually kind of like, okay, that really... I'm thinking literally of every victory I've ever had. Okay, the best success run I've ever had in this game was with Feor 2. Do you know how you just gradually win with Feor 2? You just light up, things get lit on fire, and
I'm
they
going
just
to
die.
activate the Judicator, not let it die, and shoot rockets. Then I'm going to let my opponent go and watch his army die.
That's literally... So that's not me winning. That's my opponent losing.
Yeah.
There's a distinct difference there. I mean, I know that at a certain point you could just shrug and be like, man, it's the same either way. It's not.
It's not.
And I'll tell you from personal experience, I'm playing people now who aren't my friends. Like, I'm playing people who are...
Outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and I've talked to you about this before. Like, we were talking about how you get in the habit of you play the same people over and over again. So you don't necessarily play the game, you're playing that person. So it's like, has nothing to do with, like, me playing Dan or me playing Kador. I'm not playing against, Butcher 2, with this and this and this. I'm playing against Dan. And no matter what Dan puts on the table, I'm playing Dan.
Right.
And it's not that he's... Dan and I have been playing at the same time.
Absolute shit out of me lately. That
And
I do that.
You've recognized it.
Yeah.
You see that it's
like
hitting
when I
yourself.
play you, I just put models down and run forward. I don't even pay
I
attention.
hate you. I hate you.
It's
Well, actually,
like,
that's
you
a-
actually beat me all the fucking
That's because
time.
you make stupid mistakes.
I
And
know,
I'm
and
like,
I'm just like, why did I do that?
and it's because you're playing me. Because you just, you're like, whatever.
When Brendan pays me, all he has to do is just play Lucan, and he knows he'll win.
Or Avengers. If I have Avengers in Lucan's list, I cannot lose against James.
Scientifically
Because they ride by attack and just kill his entire army.
Actually, it's also scientifically proven to date that if he plays Lucan, he cannot lose. Also true.
So,
Actually,
I've stopped playing him since
never
he
beaten
started
Lucan.
doing puns.
have you ever beaten me?
Yes.
What'd you beat me with?
I beat you.
Long pause. I'm just pointing out the long pause, everybody.
Probably with Signar.
The longer pause.
last time Jake and I played, it was an
Probably a
epic
Signar
loss.
You were running trolls.
At some freaking.
Wait, are you counting a Who's the Boss game? Okay. 'Cause that does not
It
count.
was in a local tournament, I remember you were playing trolls, and I'm 99% sure I was.
Was it in,
How did that happen? I think you're making this up.
Probably because I was playing.
Are you sure it wasn't Richard and you thought it was me?
No, I know. I remember I was playing Nemo 2 Theme Force with like 4 heavies, and you were playing trolls.
I don't remember this game.
It was like,
I don't believe you.
I
I mean, I would believe you would make this up
Okay.
just to say you had beaten me.
You guys are terrible.
Okay.
So,
There is something I wanted to talk about,
Well,
though.
Jake's beat me.
My
and I beat
convergence
Brandon,
lists
so by
we've been
proxy,
avoiding
you
for the
beat
last 20
Brandon.
minutes.
oh god, we're
You-
going to talk
you
about
cut
that.
me off halfway through.
Okay. I
And you're
guess I'll
like,
hear
Croak
more about
Raiders. And then we start talking about stuff. Okay.
So, Brandon, what are you going to do with Croak Raiders when they come out?
I'm going to burn them on people's faces so that the pewter just melts onto their skin, and then it'll solidify.
Are they metal?
Yes.
That.
I am one for.
You have a box of Croak Raiders?
So, anyway, my Lucant list I just covered 20 minutes ago. Back up if you don't remember. The mother list I normally play is Corollary 2 Prime Axioms, 1 group of Optivex Directive, 1 group of Accretion Servitors, which is 3, 1 group of Attunement Servitors, 4 groups of Elimination Servitors.
Don't say their names. Say their descriptions. Say
I was gonna say,
Flare bots.
We have Flare Bots, we have Puncture Bots, and 1 group of Mechanic Bots. 1 group of Mechanics, 2 big guys, 1 Corollary, and Mother. And Mother has her 2 Arcnode bots. Sideboard is 2 spray little old robots that live in a boot, and one group,
Little robots that
one
live in a
group
boot.
of Explodey bots.
That's terrible. Now, I don't know which is more interesting, the fact you didn't use the names in the descriptions, now we get to figure out what's what.
Well, I had no gun-faced dildo hands and no zip zappers in those lists.
Wait, you didn't-
Unfortunately, because those 2 are my favorite jacks. I'm just kidding. I hate the
Wait,
gun-faced
I thought you
dildo
didn't like
hands.
the gun-faced dildo
I,
hands.
it's absolutely the worst jack in
He used to run a-
Really?
Everyone fucking plays it.
He used to run a
Really?
gun-faced dildo hands with Lucant, but then he switched out for another Dongamator.
Yeah, the dongulator is just too good.
Reach is a thing.
Yeah. It's a big old
I
dong.
think the auto knockdown and immune knockdown is usually what upsets people the most.
I get more annoyed by Reach on that fucking thing. It has that one big hit, and I get it, and that's
The
not
one big hit is mad.
Well, it's the combo
It's
with
mainly
Watcher.
it auto knocks down. It can be POW 1 and auto knockdown. I would not give a shit.
That's so fucking stupid.
You know what's going to be awesome is when somebody hits you with Repudiate and knocks off Watcher, and then just 3 damage to him, and he only has like 18 more left.
Damn it.
Side note, if anybody that does not understand how Watcher works, it's broken as fuck, it's stupid.
Go to the rules forums, type in Watcher, and watch people complain about how it should be
I
fixed.
think we have 2 games.
Where just people get fucked by
No, it was
Watcher.
Ryan when he was playing you.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a good game.
Like, fuck Watcher!
I've never had Ryan concede to me in a game, and he did it on like top of 3.
Ryan who?
Ryan from St. Joe.
Oh.
He conceded on top of 3, and I had killed none of his models. It was amazing.
Look up Watcher. It's just
Look up
stupid.
Watcher.
It's if you've never played against
Basically,
Watcher
it's
and you're
infinite
playing
enliven,
yeah,
but you can also choose to make an attack out of activation, which knocks down your opponent, and it's fully boosted.
If it wasn't fully boosted,
Yes,
I think it would
correct.
just be fine.
Well, with how often I miss a 6 on 3 dice, I don't think it basically needs to be unboosted.
you're a terrible human
'Cause I
being.
fucking miss that shit half the time.
Spence, what have you been playing lately?
I'm
You're not
playing
playing it.
Menoth.
Right.
I'm playing Menoth forever.
Right.
I did manage to get all my Fist stuff put together. My Fist stuff is all painted and good and
looks
everything.
Actually,
good, too.
Yeah, the
Tell
kids.
us about
I do
your
want to
conversion.
cover what I think Convergence is bad against flip-up.
Yeah, I think we should go all like neck deep in your
What? Really?
we should go all about your fucking
It's actually super
convergence. Go all about it.
I just did want to say, I think one of the biggest problems is that they have a really bad answer to 3 of the most popular lists in the meta right now, which is Meat Mountain, which is probably a distant third. Specifically, Body and Soul is very harsh on them, or Lich 2 is also really bad. So basically, the powerful Crix lists mess them up really bad, and then Bradigus they don't really have an answer for. Their options are just walk into them and hope you live.
I have a question about Body and Soul. Couldn't you just drop Mother and just try and get a Backlash assassination off?
You could?
Does that?
But
I mean,
you-
like, I'm asking, like, does that work?
It's
Like,
One
really
is
harsh.
One is stealth, and she can't dominate either of them, which is
Right. You
that's
can't
the
dominate
biggest problem.
characters.
Mm,
And the Arc Node, unless she's an idiot, is going to be way in the back.
okay. That was my question.
Just Lucant is basically your answer to both Body and Soul and Bradigus. I don't think either are good matchups, but they're winnable games.
The biggest problem is she has no upkeep removal, which means she has to trigger pursuit because she can't play with one freaking.
Right, you absolutely have to. The only thing I thought about
and
is
then if she loses, if it's a scenario where she went second, she probably just loses the game then.
I think it's specifically Killbox is what fucks her, because she just dies if she has to move into the Killbox.
Well, and she has nothing that's if you can feat those axioms out of zones,
Oh yeah.
there's no way any of those bots survive that turn.
Oh yeah. Defense 9, Armor 13 is really bad.
I'd say the you playing Convergence has been interesting because you don't seem to enjoy the game as much while you're playing Convergence on the table.
I enjoy playing Lucan. It's just people don't enjoy the game against me, so it's interesting.
It doesn't seem like it's a fun game.
It feels
ever,
like what I expect playing Haley 2 would be like, but it's not the same because I'm not doing anything. I'm just not losing, and it frustrates people. Like, realistically, like, I'll just play into people, and I'll just not do anything and watch them lose the game because they try anything they can to win, and none of it works.
Well,
because nothing they do beats your army.
You seem to
just sit
frustrate
there.
yourself every single turn when you look down. You're like, no, I should have done. You see like four other things.
Remember what I
you
told
should have
you
done.
like a while back? I talked about the best turn I've ever played with Convergence.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that all weekend in Denver. Like, seriously, I made one mistake the entire tournament. It almost cost me the game, but it didn't. So I won.
Was that in round 1?
That was round 1. I moved my caster too far forward, just going, oh, there's no way he can kill me. It's Lucan. And every time I lose with Lucan, it's because I did that.
Yeah.
So I think Convergence is really strong if you don't play the top 4 lists. If you don't play against the quote-unquote, like, the best 4 lists in the current
I see what you
currently,
mean. Okay.
like, it's not even that they're the strongest 4. It's that those strong 4 specifically counter your list. And I think you can beat Body and Soul, but you have to have a good scenario matchup. Like I think the game basically comes down to what scenario you're playing on, is if you can win or
Well,
not.
does ADR make it playable?
I don't think it's a problem of killing their list. I think it's a problem because Lucan's major problem is losing on scenario because he can't get to the zones because his whole army is speed 5 at the most.
And then reciprocators become really easy to kill if they aren't shield walled, which that's
Sure.
the only way they speed up.
Right. So it's like I run 10, then I walk 5, and he hell mouse me back out of the zone and I lose. Like, or he just kills 2 guys.
Or she's got like 5 inches of I can hit this and teleport
Right.
it away.
And I'm
And
almost
she has 2
guaranteed to go
heavies to
second.
fix throwing them away.
Right. And my answer to not dying is backing up. Which is inherently bad.
Anyways, Spence.
Talking about Lucan is almost as boring as playing Lucan.
Playing against Lucan.
No, playing Lucan.
No,
I can
it's
just imagine
actually
that playing
super
Lucan
fun.
is boring.
Because you're just like, I'm going to spend 3 focus and watch your army do nothing for a turn. It's so funny.
So, Spence, tell us about your awesome scoring conversion for your Fist of Fallout.
Everybody's seen my awesome scoring conversion, but you have seen it. Everybody's seen it. It's the
Right,
if you've
we've
been
seen
on
it, but the
Facebook, you've been
listeners-
anywhere. My Satrati are the ones that actually replace their hands with Pillars of Halak. So instead of spears, they all have the cool Tetsubos that Xerxes supposed to have. Yeah, they look better than everybody's. They're the best ones out there. Now, there's a secret part of it that nobody's aware of. So if anybody tries to copy that, you're just going to be like, man, why don't mine look that good? Because nobody knows the other part of that conversion.
I do.
What is it?
The Karak shields.
Yeah, that was it. Never mind. I guess it's not a secret anymore.
God damn it!
Because regular plastic Satrati shields are like tiny and dinky. Karak shields are actually big and metal and they look awesome.
For no reason, they're twice the size of the
Yeah, it's like because Satrati shields are not as good as Karak shields. That's why Karaks get a better shield wall. I think. Small bases? Is that
They both have shield wall?
Yeah, that's a. So Fist was awesome. I've lost 1 game with Fist so far.
How many games have you played with?
8.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's.
Was that when I played you?
Yeah, you were the only.
I'm
person
the
who beat me.
only person you lost to with Fist.
God, I'm trying to remember how that game went too. Who'd you beat me with?
I don't even fucking... Oh, I think
Mother.
it wasn't Lucan.
It was Mother with the 3
No, I
guys
lost
and
that game.
subjects.
Did
Hey,
I?
next Thursday, you want to play Fist against me?
Maybe.
I
I would,
lost
like
that
to,
game.
I would like to play.
It was Butcher.
Fist is fun.
No, I lost with you with Butcher.
Yeah,
'Cause I
you.
was stupid.
Yeah, you just ran up and went
I was
crazy.
just like, I ran Butcher right at you and died.
I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember what it was either.
I'm pretty confident it was Convergence. So anyway,
Okay.
but it's a very blunt force instrument. Like, I mean, people say, oh, Fist, and they talk about a ton of dudes. It's not really as many guys as you think are going to be on the table. It really isn't. It's a bunch of groups of 4 guys. That's what it's like. There's
Well, it's not even. It also depends on how much you want infantry versus beasts, because it usually takes like 20-something points of beasts. So
yeah, you should take 2 beasts. I think I've gone back and forth on it. I've tried different beast loadouts, and like I said, it's only been like 8-9 games.
it's been
but
very explored.
It's just a matter of there's so much writing out there about it, so much thought and so much practice on it. You just got to figure out what you really want to do with it. I am still getting my Tiberian put together and my whole Tiberian. Shut up, Brandon. I'm still getting the parts for my Tiberian to get all put together. There
You
we
need to
go.
buy the parts for him.
I encourage everyone to take a mammoth list.
I actually don't
It
think
fucks that list so bad.
so.
Are
The
you
thing is-
considering? I'm going to derail you off of Fist
Go
for
for
a
it.
minute and just say, so how do you like Fist enough that you want to start doing Scorn 2-less pairings in tournaments, or is it just
I'm going to get there. Scorn I have put a lot less effort into than I've ever put into Menoth, and right now I have like a little Menoth project that I'm working on that's like revitalized my giving a fuck of all kinds of things. So I'm really looking forward to that. Fist is not going anywhere. I like it. Right now, Brandon and I were talking about this not too long ago. The overall meta of the game is kind of shifted toward killing, heavy infantry. Like that's just
Here's your orders. Can you kill it easily?
Yeah, and Satrati and Cataphracts, all the fucking Cataphracts die easier than warders. So if you have a list that can remove warders from the table,
Is +6 armor good?
+6 armor is okay sometimes. But
When you're being attacked.
it's not that Fist falls off the table because Fist does a different game than Meat Mountain does. It's not the same thing. But when your models are that, they don't do really what Fist. They don't really do what Meat Mountain does. So you can't play it in the same way. And there's a lot of things against it.
So have you thought about what you want to pair with it?
I've put some thought into that because I've taken it to like every time I put it on the table, I make 2 lists. So I have my Fist list that I know, for example, that I'm going to play. I know for a fact I'm going to play that. That's the one that's already on my tray. And then I tell whoever I'm playing, okay, well, I'm going to be playing Xerxes 1 and then whomever. So I've thought about what I want to put with, and I've pretty much decided I think I'm going to go Xerxes 2, or depending on how much I like Tiberian in Fist, I may do Makeda 2. Maybe. I'm putting Zal together right now. I got a bunch of...
to specify, you're saying because Malakarn would come.
Yes, because if you play Makeda 2 without Malakarn, you're probably not playing Makeda 2.
You have downs.
Yeah, you have that Tardation thing we were talking about. But and
Almost like a certain
we don't have a lot of mid to high range Scorn players in our local area here. Like
We have no good Scorn players there.
We have almost no such period.
No, there's a ton of Scorn players.
Yeah, they're all like the third faction they play, so it doesn't come out. very often.
Or the guy just bought the battle box. It's a lot of those level of players, and you just can't really fight that too hard. So what you wind up doing is you play against a bunch of people who have no idea what you're playing against. So that's hard to do.
Well, clearly the answer is to jam Kazi's right in front of your Incendiary. Like, you'll get people doing that shit.
Yeah, that'll
And you're
fix
just
it.
like, what are you doing?
They just kill things?
On the mental side of things, I think we're going to talk about in the next episode more of your love affair with Krios 2. But
We can talk about that every episode if you'd like.
Well, I just want to, and we won't get too much into it now since that's going to be.
With Menoth right now,
But what's your other one that you're really hot on, other than if there is a thing that you're hot on other than Krios
in
2?
Menoth right now, I'm kind of gonna go ahead and man the fuck up. No, I'm gonna man the fuck up. I will never play that list ever. I would feel like a complete madman playing that Sevi list.
Because
No,
it'd be too good.
I don't know what I would do. I would. It's like you finally get to bang a supermodel. It's like your
It's
whole
like the
life you've been
One Ring
jerking
is
off to these
just in your
chicks,
hand.
and now suddenly you're all like, okay, so
She's in my house.
yeah, Heidi Klum is now sitting on my face. Like, you're done. Like, you're not having sex with her. You already came. Like, you're finished. Like, I don't care how cool you think you are. You're not getting it back up. That's that Savvy 1 list in my head.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pair Kraos 1 right now with Kraos 2. And I'm gonna do that because I feel like he's gonna force me to be a better player.
That's actually an interesting pair that I haven't thought of.
He's gonna, well, I'm not...
Mainly because Krios 2 is awful and fucking bad, but...
Hush it, lady. No, I feel like Kraus 1 is a caster that I do agree with Brandon. He can be played into a lot of things.
I think
he's
it
incredibly
actually-
strong.
It comes back to kind of like the Denny 2 Scar 1 concept. You play your 1 super list, and the only problem it has is breaking heavy armor, so you apply the blunt instrument in your second list, which is Krios 2.
Yeah. I just like I feel like if I have to play a good game, if I have to play it like a really good game, and I know for a fact that somewhere I'm going to have to step up what I do and be a better player, it's going to be a caster that I can't just be like, fuck it, I'll just do whatever. And I feel like, not that Xerxes 1 is a gimme caster, not that Makeda 2 is a gimme caster, not that Kraus 2 is a gimme caster, not that Feora 2 is a gimme caster, but unless you're specifically hoping your enemy gives you the pop and drop victory with Kraus 1, you have to play the fucking game. Every goddamn turn, you have to be looking, okay, I'm a 14 defense, 15 armor. I can't really camp as much as I feel like I need to because I have to spend something. Holy shit, what do I get to do? It's like he has so many tools for so many things. He's incredibly strong, but you have to play the game. You have to be involved and invested. And I feel like
He's one of the casters that you can make a single wrong move in.
yeah, very easily. And
Much like Haley too.
And I feel like because of that, that's somebody who I'm going to I've loved the caster forever. I mean, I bought the battle box in 2003. He's my first caster. I still have my first model. I love him. So I'm going to make him play. I'm going to make him hit the table, and I'm going to make good games with that. And I feel like because he does have such a wide play berth, I mean, he can play against so many different things, that'll give me the opportunity to play my, brainchild of horribleness and fun of Kraos 2, because no matter how good or bad he may be, I'm going to fucking love it, because you should, number one, in this game, play what you like.
I would think that Harbinger would be your favorite, because she's a 14-year-old girl.
She's been out for a long time now. She's pretty old. Like, she's over 9 years old.
Turn 18, ruin everything.
That's kind of how it was. And the thing is, it's like, despite being a horrible person, the idea of chained up blind girls don't really do much for me. What the hell are you showing him? Is that Rambo on money?
Yeah, it's showing if you draw a bandana on a $20 bill.
That's so awesome.
It looks exactly like Rainbow.
So terrible and true. But I want to play Kraos 1 because I feel like it'll make me a better
It is
player.
Andrew Jackson. I mean,
And I've put down the Harbinger since I hit my Bastion wall, I feel. We played the Harbinger list from episode 19 a ton.
Which is terrifying.
And I like that list. I just wanted to play other things because I played that list so much.
And I think we were really close to actually the meta list before it happened, because the Harby list with a little bit of tweaking can be built to beat Bradius.
Well, I actually like the idea of playing that list with High Reclaimer and just delivering all of them with clouds in front of them. And we were also talking about the idea of removing Bastions, because while Bastions are cool and all, we love Bastions. 2 units of Bastions cost 16 points. 3 units of Knights Exemplar cost 15 points. So if I were to say you can take 3 units of Knights Exemplar and 1 unit and one set of racks, as Brandon mathed out and did that great adding, which one would you rather have? And I think a lot of times, Bastions...
Specifically with Harbinger, it's not close.
You know what you can actually fit? It's even cheaper. Is 2 units of Knight Exemplar and Holt for 14 points. Or Iona and Holton or something.
And then Gorman?
That's...
Or Iona and Holton and Attendant Priest, so you can martyr them.
Well,
Speaking of Attendant Priests, I have some tech.
Shut up. And a really cool thing about the Knights are, I think that this segues perfectly into my whole idea of Kraos 2 and what I want to do with it, is the idea that we were talking about how Bastions being part of this heavy infantry thing. What? Max, I love you.
Bastions are definitely one of the worst heavy infantries now that the meta has adjusted.
Because everything is here to hurt
Everything
them.
kills warders, so when you hit a Bastion, it's like +5 damage on every attack, and it just fucking crushes you.
Yeah,
just transferring damage doesn't mean anything.
That's the sort of thing that I think that's what we're playing against right now. And due to that, I think, okay, well, I want to reach, power 12, blessed, weapon master attack. That's strong and all, but if I run a caster that has purification, blessed doesn't matter. If I run a caster that if I run a weapon master attack
That's
against you...
actually not true.
Okay. So if I run... Yeah, I understand what you mean, because there are other spell effects.
Batten down the hedges.
Yeah, things like that are effective. But if I run Knights Exemplar, which are a ton cheaper, arguably hit harder, I mean, there's a change there. You know what I mean? There is a trade up, and you can take multiple units of them. And I'm not going to say they're as durable, because, as Parker eloquently put it, any attack kills a Knight Exemplar, which I found out over the weekend. But
that's not true. Eights don't.
Yeah, they have a chance to. They have a pretty strong chance to.
One.
POW 8s on that last night probably aren't going to unless they're boosted. And then it's definitely going to kill that last guy.
No, that's the thing, is anything can kill them. It just is an uphill battle. So, I mean, if you can get diced very easily.
It can happen. But the thing is...
Harbinger, you're martyring.
Right.
So Harbinger can keep them up. Harbinger gives them Guided Hand and Crusader's Call, the only 2 things they need. The High Reclaimer delivers them, and they're more souls, realistically giving you more souls. I mean, and they're not being wasted on Chode Infantry, because the High Reclaimer can kill Chode Infantry, and you can go after big things with Knights.
It's sweet, I killed 5 of your Knights. Sweet, I'm going to cast Ashes to Ashes, then get back 5 Knights. Oh, damn it.
Enjoy, douche. There's some logic behind why I don't want to do that list anymore. So I think Kraos 1 to make me a better player, and then Kraos 2 because I want to play Kraos 2. Okay. And it goes back to the whole idea of I want to get better at the game, but I don't want to go away from what I want to play.
Right. You should never stop playing the things that you enjoy.
And that's for me, I don't like other factions. I've tried to pick up other things, and we talk about my expendable income. I could buy the whole fucking game like 17 times and not give a fuck. It's like, what should I buy? How many units of Knights do I just own? And I'm going to buy more.
You have 8.
Because why not?
I think it's more than...
Oh
How
my
many
god.
Chaos 2s do you own?
Currently, I think I have 5.
That's it?
Yes.
You
I
have
give them away. I gave Merle one last time I saw him.
Okay, so how have you done recently in tournaments? Let's go over the last 3 tournaments you played in.
Last 3 tournaments I've been in. Okay.
So clearly Des Moines was most recent.
Des Moines, there were 3 rounds there. First round I played against Crump. And we actually had talked about this the day before of things that I just don't want to see across the table. He's like, well, Kruger won. I was like, yeah, it probably would suck. And Crump played Kruger won. The game went a hell of a lot better than I thought it was going to. I honestly thought it was going to be a stupid landslide.
At least you didn't have a Zapdos.
He killed every single Knight Exemplar in that list. All of them. And I took 36 of them, by the way. So I had 6 units, and he killed every single one of them. Last things I had on the table, I had Gravis, Kraos, and 2 Errants before he won, because I failed an assassination roll. That was it.
You failed an assassination roll?
I failed an assassination on his caster.
How close? Was it like a long shot, or did
I was
you just...
out. I was out by 1 inch.
Oh, was he like dead if you got there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He was fucking dead to rights. Like, no transfers, Gravis on him, like, no questions asked.
With auto hitting or...
No, auto hitting I removed heavy with. But facing off against a list, I feel like mulches my list, because, okay, the list is very simple.
He has all the tools to table you.
Yeah, I had 6 units of Knights, Gravis, Fire Salvation, a unit of Errants, and 1 Errant Seneschal, 1 Knight Seneschal. And that's the list. Like, that's everything. Now, that's not what I want to play or what I think is the most effective way to play him, but I just got all the Knights put together, and I'm going to play him because it's going to be fun until I decide to man up and play it the right way. And he mulched everything, and it was fucking great to still play against it. And second round, I played against James.
Looks so good. Okay.
James was an incredibly nice guy. He also played Menoth. His 2 lists were Kraos 1 and Feora 2. I had Kraos 2 and Feora 2 as my 2 lists, and I thought to myself, I really, really want him to drop Feora 2. Like, I really wanted to pick Feora 2.
Most people don't know why, so you might explain it.
Yeah, well, because Kraos 2 grants all Knights Exemplar in his army Aegis, which is immunity to corrosion and fire, so immunity to continuous effects, effectively. So you just, if you play against Feora 2, like her whole thing of lighting everything you want on fire with blast damage, you're like, I don't care, and it does nothing, and you just roll over it. But it's just funny because they're playing Menoth, they should know that.
Except they're not playing bad casters.
Yeah, except for they're not playing, the amazingly awesome Kraos 2.
Okay, so that game went well.
I picked Kraos 2, he picked Kraos 1.
You have Gravis, so your shit's being knocked.
I have Gravis, and my caster was far enough back behind my Effigy of Valor that I was like, well, I'm in cover, immune to knockdown, here are all these Knights, just deal with these. And his gun line just kind of fought Knights. And it's been forever since I fought against Defenders Warded, tough, no knockdown Errants. I was like, okay, I guess we'll just keep fighting Errants. And I ran my regular Errants into his Errants. It's like, mine are going to get killed, but I have more Knights behind mine. And actually, a really cool thing, the Vessel of Judgment wipes Knights off the fucking table like they're nothing. Like, they're just nothing.
Just boost everything.
It's like, I'm going to go ahead and just make a die roll and remove a unit of Knights. That's what happened. It was great.
Okay, so how did your third game go?
Third game, I played against a Scorn player who dropped Chain Gang with 2 units of Croak Raiders. He had a Sentry, a Gladiator, and a Bronzeback. 2 Agonizers, which were fucking key to everything because they were astonishing. The table was set up like shit, and I did not do any math on moving figures. None whatsoever. And when I moved my models up, I was like terrified because there was this big bottleneck with these 2 towers I couldn't get through. So I was like, well,
really bad about
I could move my Adjudicator through this bottleneck into his 3 Titans. But I'm just screwed if I do that. If I move out there, I'm just gonna die. So I decided to go ahead and just stand in this bottleneck, and he just zoned me the whole time. And by the time I realized what was going on, I already had 2 Agonizers behind a building within 6 inches of my Jacks, and they're like, yeah, so you can't allocate focus to your Jacks. And I'm like...
And then you realize that...
I can't run my Jacks or get anywhere I can get into the zone. Oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be so bad. I was running Feora 2 in this game. But I killed all the Croak Raiders like they were nothing, because...
Right.
The Adjudicator does that, too.
Okay, so you lost that game?
I lost that game badly. Well, the Adjudicator threats 11.
Mm-hmm.
A Bronzeback in that list threats 9.5. And I was thinking, oh god, I can't go out there because Titans will just fly across the table and destroy everything I have. No, that's not what happens. You just stand back and they zone you because you can't do anything about it.
So, learned some things in that tournament. What else have you done lately?
Put Knights together. I bought Durst.
No, I mean like just go back to the previous event you played in.
Before that, I also don't remember what event I was in. What event was that? It was Merle's thing.
Okay, so a random casual tournament.
I liked that. Actually, it was great.
Because you had to play Resnick.
Yes, because whenever you're playing Mangled Metal, you get to play Resnick in tier and get 7-point Reckoners. Because 7-point Reckoners are awesome.
Did you play 4?
Huh? Yes. Actually, I played a Templar and 3 Reckoners.
It was awesome to play against.
I hate you. Well, the first round.
True.
The first round, you know, was great. So the first round I played against Jess, who had what's Kalyssa, so she also has Witch Hound.
The two
so it's like
casters in the
we
game.
both have Witch Hound. So I'm like, okay, if I use Perdition, okay, I get to move a Jack, but you'll get to move a Jack. What do I want to
I
do?
have a legitimate question. So, Perdition. Well, more so specifically, does Watcher specify that they have to make their advance during their activation?
No.
So you
Ends
can't
in
Watcher
advance.
off of Perdition.
You can watch off of sidestep.
That is bullshit.
Yes,
Yeah.
Watcher is bullshit.
It doesn't say full advance, it just says independence.
Ends in advance. An advancing model. The model ends in advance within 6 inches.
So bad.
Suck it.
What I've been focusing on right now is I've been focusing on playing what I want to play as opposed to trying to And I think what I want to play is, like, for example, I was not excited about Durst.
Right.
I wasn't. I'm still not. And I hear all this talk about him, how he's good. I tried to build a Durstless the other day. And, you know,
It doesn't look good on paper. It plays better than it looks.
I imagine it probably does, but it's just,
So, things
I've played Menoth for so long that they gave me Durst, and Durst is not a Menoth caster, so I'm looking at him like, what does he do? Why am I supposed, what is this going to do?
He doesn't cast Escort in Camp 5. Like,
That's exactly it. So I was like, so what am I doing with my guys? Like, he doesn't support my army? They're like, yeah, he casts these things, and you just keep moving forward. I'm like, he doesn't feel like any other caster that we have, so he feels foreign to me.
Sevi 1 doesn't feel like a caster Menoth should have to me.
You know how often I play with Sevi 1?
I know.
One feels like the epitome of a middle caster.
Well, right, you look on paper and he's like, yeah, that's a Menoth caster. I'm like, but if you think about it, the way he plays,
he's aggressive as fuck.
I'm going to not die by killing everything you have.
He's aggressive as fuck.
Which is not what normal Menoth casters do.
Moving forward, aggressive.
Your caster's on a medium base. He's a
But
warjack
like,
that's
I
up
will
there.
fucking murder every son of a bitch you brought to this battlefield, is how he actually plays.
He's the most aggressive caster that stands 18 inches back.
Yeah. He's like hugging the board edge. He's like literally like has
usually-
a staff anchored to the edge of the world. And he's like, I'm not moving.
It's pretty... The ones that I don't...
And then he turns around and he's like, righteous vengeance upon thee. What does that mean?
He sends Blessing of Vengeance out there, which will never die.
I've lost him once.
Like, you mean like in your trail, like you're like, which one?
He got charged by a Colossal.
Did he really? He didn't
And
kill
he
the
died
Colossal?
next round.
Okay. The thing is, I've been trying to just play things I want, and that's why I decided I just committed and I went completely in on Kraus 2, because you know how much I've loved the guy. And I used to have a Kraus 2 model where I made him out of a fucking Incinerator, so I took off the arms and put the weapon on there and gave him flags. I was like, yeah, look at him, he's so cool, he's Kraus 2. And people who never see the model, because like almost no one knows what the model looks like, they're all
okay, that's Kraus.
like, yeah, I guess that works. I just put it on a small base. Stop giving me that look,
no.
Jake.
No, I've
You remember my model.
You were proxying.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's legal
Okay.
according to the new conversion policy.
Yeah. So, moving on.
Okay.
All right.
Jeremy, have you been playing anything interesting that you
Has your Magnus 1 been doing as well as the Magnus 1 list heads in the past? Because stop doing that.
Hush it, lady.
Yeah, same as I'm really good at getting a forecaster down to look at it.
And then obliterating them behind a wall.
No, and then
Okay.
they run away and
And then you lose. Okay.
Maybe you should run more Iris. Just so she does 3 damage sometimes.
I'm thinking another renegade.
There you go. That would do it.
So, in closing,
Nomad.
Max has had a good run with Scar 1 and Denny 2 Body and Soul. Jake is an unimaginative loser that plays EE and Runes.
But not for much longer now that Croak
I've been
Raiders are
playing Boring Convergence with Lucan and Mother, which
boring to
everyone
you.
takes. And then Spence has been playing
What he
Krios
wants
2
to
and
play.
Fiora 2. Oh, I do want to mention, so when we went to Des Moines, the top 4 consisted of 3 Menoth players, none of which duplicated a caster.
Huh.
He had Fiora 2, Krios 2, I had Krios 1, Sevi 1, and the other guy had Durst Harbinger. I was just like, huh?
That was Lance, wasn't it?
That was Lance.
Lance!
Oh,
I just met Lance for the first time and I really liked him. He's a great guy.
Okay,
Was that a mic drop? You just dropped.
that was a pen drop. I
was-
dropped a pen. Are you an idiot? This
That
is
was not a mic. That's not a mic.
It's not mine.
don't drop that out.
This is what dropping a mic sounds like.
And
just
by the noise of
Go back to
clanking.
the 3 times Spence knocked over his microphone.
Don't give me that look, Jeremy.
This has been Brandon.
ADV goes.
Jake. The not child molester.
Oh shit! What are you gonna say?
I guess this is Jake the child molester. I guess that's how this works. I mean, and
License and registration.
Spence.
Chicken fucker. Goodbye.
Spence. Bye.
Bye, Jeremy.
Whoa, buddy.
Whoa.
Whoa.
This is happening.
Whoa.
This is happening.
You need to
really
settle
scared.
down.
I feel like I'm
You're up here.
Spence,
Let's take it down to your level.
you're like a 10 Gen 8.
So what does that mean?
You need to
Zip my
take it
pants?
down. You need to take it down.
Okay, I'll put my belt back on.
All right. I'm just saying, we're in a noticeable
What did
situation
Jane say, though?
of stranger danger.
What did Jane say?
She needed an adult. That's what she said.
So I was fucking my girlfriend, right? And I pull out, and I go right in the ass. And she's like, ow, that hurt. And I'm like, holy shit, my dog can talk.
I see what you did there.
And then
Even if 7 people are going to listen to this, I don't understand why this comes out of your mouth.
everyone already knows he trolls middle schools for 14-year-olds.
Greatest story ever. I actually told that today. But
Where's the guy with the camera from To Catch a
there's a bear
Predator?
trap somewhere.
Someone should be stopping
Chris
me.
Hansen. There's like a
Chris
bear
Hansen.
trap in the room somewhere. Like,
It's not
Do you
uncommon.
drive an Acura and you work at an Infinity dealership?
Do you know what that looks
Your car looks a lot like an Acura.
That looks like Acura.
It's got the little two
Does it look
prongy
like that?
thing. That's an Acura.
That's Acura, isn't it?
That's Infinity.
Why is Infinity's logo not the Infinity symbol?
it is. If you bend it,
What?
the literal definition is like, that's a road heading off into the horizon forever to infinity. I'm like, that doesn't.
Why is it basically the Acura symbol?
And then you said, and beyond.
To Infinity and beyond!
I've
Actually
seen an
suggested we
Acura symbol.
mark. I really suggested that we mark the waiting room with a big sign that says "End." It's like, oh,
I reject all possible options.
I finished the last season of Gossip Girl. I found out Dan Humphrey is Gossip Girl. He's made this all himself. They've been giving him the voice of Kristen Bell. There's no reason for me to watch this show anymore. I've given up on things. Please find a bullet. That would be my evening, at least once. Not that I watch.
I don't watch Gossip Girl, by the way.
Not every
What you
week.
just said.
Spoiler alert! At the end of Pretty Little Liars,
I-
A is still alive. She is. It's been her doing it the whole time. If you don't know that, you're an idiot. So.